Welcome to another post-match Berardi and Coke. I'm Karl. I'm joined by Gilly. How's it going, man?
Could be better, could be worse.
Sounds a pound. We'll be discussing all of the ins and outs of the game today. We sent a link out in a tweet as well. If you want to come on and join us for an old yarn and see what the crack is and have your say, feel free to use the link. We'll add you once you're in the lobby. Gilly, roll that video, man.
Hi, this is Don Matteo, and you are listening to the Ought to Know Better podcast. Let's do this.
So, welcome to another post-match podcast brought to you by us lunatics at Berardi and Coke. So, Gilly, we've mentioned that there's a tweet gone out there. If anyone wants to join in, please feel free. We will add you in the old chat. Let's just get into it, Gilly, man. From the start, we were all a bit apprehensive as to how it was going to go. How do you think it went on the feeling that you had going into the game?
I think there could easily have been a fairly major hangover when you've had somebody there as influential as Bielsa had been over a period, and then instantly not there. You know, that shock factor can really impact a side, and I don't think I saw that in, regardless of how the players are feeling about it. And I know there's been a lot of toing and throwing on. There's a bit of spin, all the players looking happy all of a sudden, things like that. I think aside to that, because I don't really buy that. I think the players will miss him and they owe him a big debt. But at the same time, when you look at the professionalism that they had today, I think that really came to the fore. And I think professionalism is the right word. That's how they set about it. They set about the job, a tough ask, a tough task to go down to play against Leicester in their own backyard, who are a decent side. And I think that Leeds set about it in the right manner, right from the outset. It wasn't a case of it took us half an hour to get going, and by the time we did get going, we were 2 or 3-0 down. We were in a position where I think we did play well, and I think we played well right from the start. I think if you reflect on some of the words that have been said after the game by Jesse, I think when he said the players have got the intelligence to take what he's telling them from the start and to put that into effect in only 4 days worth of training, I think he's kind of explained that he's impressed that they've been able to do that. I am too. I think that's quite a big deal, and we were wondering how much he'd be able to change in such a short space of time. I think for me, I was a little bit surprised not to see Forshaw starting, given how crucial he's been to us in games this season. Yeah. However, it came to light just before kickoff that it's because he'd not trained all week. He'd trained part of the week, he'd not trained the entirety of the week, is what I mean. So given that, and the fact that he'd been trying to get some ideas into them in a very, very short space of time, it kind of makes sense. I think the other element, and not to blow my own trumpet or anything, but before the game, I said, everybody was saying, I'm quite interested to see how Cock does in defence. Maybe he'll get a run in the side in defence. And I said, I'm not entirely convinced that we'll see him in defence. If you reflect on where he played for Freiburg and where he'd been playing for Germany, I think he would have been seen by our new coach playing DMC quite regularly. So to see him in there today, especially if Forshaw's not trained, especially if Calvin's not available, he's not a massive surprise. I do prefer seeing Ayling at right back. But if he had to get Cock into the middle to get a bit of strength in there, to get a bit of control in there and stand up to the likes of Ndidi, I think that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Just to go back to your point there, that I didn't hear the post-match interviews. I was walking back from where I was watching it, but you mentioned there that he was impressed with how quickly the players have taken on what he's wanted them to do. do you not think even if Forshaw is only doing half a week of training prior to the game, if he's looking at the players and going, right, they're intelligent enough to understand what they're doing, Forshaw's, intelligent enough to know that he has to play in that role, even if he does 3 days rather than the 5. Do you not think that would have been a better option? Like,
if they're saying that he's not trained the whole week and they've only had 4 days, that might be he's only trained 2 days out of 4.
Maybe
he's only had even half of that short time available to him. I guess. Yeah. I guess that's the point. But at the same time, we also saw him. Yeah. So I mean, it could be that he's seen Koch play there quite a bit and therefore knows that he can trust him in that role. And also he's able to kind of explain to him. I think we saw a bit of a different Koch today. Some of the balls that he were playing out to the wings, almost, I won't go to say so far as to say they were Calvin-esque. Not even slightly, and he's certainly not that player. And I don't want to get any houndings on Twitter for drawing that sort of comparison. That's not what I'm doing. But if you look at the Koch we had previously, I think that the passes that he were playing today were a bit freer. And I think he's been, I think there'd been potentially a bit of encouragement to do so. So I wasn't surprised to see that set up. I think I would have preferred to have seen Alien at right back and Dallas in the middle. But if you look at if you weren't playing Forshaw and you end up with Dallas and Click in the middle, they work hard. They do work hard, but it's a bit lightweight, and going up against Tielemans and Ndidi, I think that would have been a bit of a risk.
Yeah, we'll get to Ndidi in a little while anyway. I have a few words I'd like to say about that.
Of course, I mean, the other side to it is actually on balance of the game, I think we'd have been okay playing them in there because Leicester didn't seem to want to play through the midfield. It were all long ball. Must have got sore necks looking at the ball going over him because it was just a case of, for me, I was really, really surprised at how poor they were. I really was.
Yeah, I was.
And it very much looked like we're going to hold on to the ball at the back for a while. We're going to pass it around. Right, I'm going to play a long ball and hope that Berardi turns it into something. That's what it felt like. I was really surprised.
It didn't just feel like it, man. It looked like it from watching it on the telly. Like like even the halftime analysis was essentially them kind of showing, oh, here's this ball over the top, and Berardi makes something of this, and it's like, yeah, but they've essentially bypassed the likes of Tielemans, Barnes, all what was that young fella on the left for them today? He was brilliant today, to be fair to him.
Dewsbury Hall,
yeah.
Not one size. I mean, that's a brilliant nickname for him, but he won't fit all. It was Dewsbury Hall.
But like they were just bypassing the likes of those 3 players, probably 3 of their most creative players that they had on the pitch, just lumping it long and hoping that Berardi could get onto it and hold it up. I like you. I wasn't overly impressed by the way they played today at all. Like I thought we did enough to win the game. To be fair, I thought Schmeichel getting man of the match is a bit of a stretch if I'm being perfectly honest. Like he made 3 good saves, but you could look at them from a Leeds perspective and gone, he should have scored. We should have scored each and every one of them. You know what I mean? So for him to get man of the match for 3 saves, that when you look at it on again, you're going, we score 3 of them every time if confidence is through the roof and this and that. You know what I mean? And
I get where you're coming from, but who else do you pick?
Just don't pick fucking anyone. Sure, when it's happened before.
They've got to pick one. They have to pick one.
Yeah, pick Tielemans. He had more of an influence on the game than,
Well, the reason I asked you is I had a look on the BBC website just before we clicked Let's Go Live, and they have picked quite a surprising person because that person is not on the Leicester team. So I'll ask the question again. If you don't pick Schmeichel, who do you pick in that context?
Maybe Koch.
They've gone down James.
Have they?
Yeah.
That's not me saying that now, that saying he shouldn't have got it or anything.
What do you hate him for?
Don't put me in this bracket of Leeds hating bastards. This isn't me. I'm not one of them, man. I like the, you know what I mean? Shit. No, I'm not in that bracket at all. You can leave Smarty and Jay in their own little Leeds hating bastard group. I'm okay sitting here away from that shit. Yeah, no, I think just going back to the opening stages of the game, would you have kind of looked at the way Ayling was running, meandering forward like he was a right back? Would you have, as a coach, a new coach, come in and gone, here, chill the fuck out, like just run the ball out a bit? You're not playing as a winger. You're leaving a giant hole in behind where we're absolutely screwed. Would you not have picked something like that up as a coach and gone, look, chill? Just, you know,
we don't know what the setup was
a little bit there.
Yeah, I think you're right, but equally you've got Cock in there, and if you think of the way that Cooper sometimes runs the ball out, Calvin just naturally, seamlessly drops in. Cock is a centre back as well as a DMC, and therefore should be able to do that and not expose us so much. So I guess so, but I think there's a context there of you're expecting other players to react, and I think that's really important. I think in attack we did see a reaction today, and I think for too long now we've not seen the reactions in defence of something happens and players stick to their plan rather than reacting to what's happening on the pitch. So I guess from that it's and don't get me wrong, I think that was the plan all along, but I think we're still in that position where I tweeted early on in the game of, well, I'm still not going to be able to breathe during games then, because it just it was that breathlessness, because it was a basketball game, and actually Jesse mentioned in his post-match discussion with the press, he mentioned a basketball game. He didn't call that game today a basketball game. What he said was, in basketball, there's a lot of points scored and the better team tends to come out ahead. And then he said, I'm not saying we were the better team. Now, he plainly was, but he went to great lengths to say that he wasn't saying that, even though reading between the lines he was. And it's one of them where I think if the players around him react to that, then we shouldn't become exposed in that manner, because we can shuffle players around, players can drop off and cover space, and I think that's the important element. Is that's going to take a little bit of time to adapt to, because he does want them to be in a position, a mindset, a context of marking the space, not the man. So we saw Firpo against Spurs being, he was being led all over the pitch because he was tracking his man, and that's what he'd been told to do. But it really, really becomes a difficult scenario when you're in defence and you're doing that. So I think that'll take a bit of time to bed in. They're not having to unlearn everything from a 3.5 year period, but they are having to take on board this different approach. And I think where we were and where we are now is not too dissimilar in attack and not too dissimilar in transition. But it's that in defence, when you're marking your man, actually you're not marking your man, you're holding your shape, you're being resilient against what's happening on the pitch and taking that approach instead. And I think that's something that takes a bit of time.
And we also, I noticed that when they had the ball, just passing it around the back, we weren't as keen to press them to get the play moving again. We were very much, you can have the ball there, we'll just get our shape again, and then when we want to go into an attack mode, we seem to take a totally random shape and go for it then. Like, which it's not too dissimilar to what Bielsa wanted, but we forced the play from, say, if their keeper had it, we forced it so that it was, he had to take a pass that wasn't on or comfortable, whereas we just let them have it this time. And I think doing something like that, with the likes of James, he had all that energy built up where he's not closing down the goalkeeper to force him to boot it long or to do something. He's just letting him have it. And then I felt we had a lot more energy about us today than we have.
It felt that way
over the last while, because we weren't, like you said, Firpo against Spurs chasing his man all over the pitch. And as a manager, if you play against the likes of what Bielsa wanted for so long, all you're going to do is you just go to your left back, your right back, and you just go, look, just you go wherever you want. Like, because if he's not on the right hand side, there's no danger coming down that way. So he's going to follow you wherever you go. So just fuck off around there wherever you want. Like, but now it seems to be more solid and coordinated as to where players are going to be. And I don't think Leicester knew how to play against that today.
There's two elements. So Roger said before the game he knew exactly what to expect because he's played against Salzburg. So he's played against Marsch teams in the past. He said that he knew what to expect and knew how they're set up and reflected on the fact that they do. He does. I think. He's called it zonal marking. I don't think it's necessarily zonal marking because if you think of that, what I think of is right. Okay, I'm going to have a bank of 3 in front of a bank of 5 at corners and set pieces, and we're not going to pick up a man. That's what I think of as zonal marking. What they are doing is discipline, maintaining their shape, and playing in that shape. And I think that's when he's talking about marking the zone, marking the space. That's what they're talking about. Is that discipline and that at that point, if you've got runners coming through that are being tracked, we're in a better footing when it comes to having numbers about the ball. I think you're right about one of the things I said last night, because there's so many theories and approaches, and we were all, it was all conjecture. Nobody really knew what to expect. But one of the things I reflected on and said we might see is actually you let the last man have it, but if it comes from the centre back or the keeper out to the full back, and 2 men press there, and that's what I saw happening quite a bit today. Was it went out to their right back, and James and Harrison immediately, both of them, from 2 directions, went to close that down, but they'd not been pushing on the last man. So I think if you're in a position where you can do that, now if their last man overlaps the right back or runs through midfield and takes the ball there, then they've beaten our press. But it's still risk versus reward football, so we're not getting away from that. Whenever you're in a position of whenever you're in a position of trying to drive things and trying to disrupt an opposition, you need to have a level of risk. Otherwise, you're just letting them do whatever they want, and you're going to sit in a low block and have a low risk formation. And who wants dice ball? We don't want to see that. I don't want to labour the point. It was heartbreaking seeing Bielsa go, especially in the way that he went. But it would be even worse if our next step was to go, right, thanks for those 3.5 years of wonderful, optimistic, amazing football. But now what we're going to do is we're going to sit in 2 flat banks of 4. We're not going to press. We're not going to attack. And we're just going to lump it up to a forward and hope to do something with it. Yeah. That would have been disaster to us as fans. So I'm glad that we didn't do that. There's always got to be, there's always a bit of risk associated with trying to be expressive. We don't want to see all of that gone. It's about managing it as best you can, minimising the risk against you while optimising the risk against the opponent.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Just a few notes that I took throughout the game. We touched on the Ayling thing as well, but do you think...
When you say the Ayling thing, is that the flop?
Well,
which I saw back today.
I wanted to leave that for later on. That was kind of...
Sorry, pal.
That's all right, man. No, I meant the Ayling pushing out and leaving the big bit in behind, but we've already discussed that. But I noticed Jack very hesitant today to take players on when he got the ball. In some instances, not all. Do you think is that down to form, or do you think is that just what he was instructed to do today? Because I've noticed it over the last couple of games, where he has been very hesitant once he gets into a position, unless he's running onto it and he can kind of whip it in. He's been quite hesitant to take the man on and try and beat him. What do you think is that tactic today, or is it just a confidence thing?
We know he's a confidence player. All players need confidence, but some are a lot more resilient than others. I think that he has a lot of variance in his game because he's a very much a confidence player. I think when he's on his game, you see the first game against Liverpool, you see the hat-trick he got. And when he's not on his game, I think it's immediately obvious. He doesn't lose his touch, but he does lose his influence on the game. If we consider just before he went off, some of the play, he was getting on the ball and whipping balls in. Now I think that genuinely is something that he and Raf might end up being asked to do. I didn't see much of it from Raf today, but I think it might be. I mean, it might not be. Raf might be asked to get on the end of those balls and be that third man getting in there because we know that he likes two forwards. But it might be a case of, Jack, you get the ball, you put it in the middle, get it on a plate. We don't need to get to the byline because there were a couple of times he just had one touch and he was looking to swing it in that sweet spot between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. So I think that might have been something that they'd focused on is if we get that ball in early, in that kind of uncomfortable area for the keeper, and let's see if we can build from there, or let's see if we can get on the end of it on the basis that that's how he's liking our chances of creating goal-scoring opportunities.
Yeah, me personally, like with the likes of with the type of player Jack Harrison is, he's the kind of player that I would want running. Like, you know, the way Joffrey does when he comes on, he's just like, yeah, I'm just running at you. I don't give a shit. As a winger, like I played as a winger, not to a very high standard back home by any means at all. But the one thing that you always knew was that you knew a right back hated you running straight at them. Like the one thing I used to do was I'd have the ball as close to my feet and his as humanly possible, because if you're running at him, he's always on the back foot. And I thought that their right back today was very much there to be had. Like if he'd have just had the confidence to put the ball close to him. All Jack has to do, if the ball is close to the defender and he's on the back foot, Jack just has to, one way or the other, he's either got a free kick, corner, throw in, potentially a penalty because he's running at the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jack,
in the end, they had to take him off, didn't they? I think they took him off after about an hour because I think you're right. I think we had him on toast and he looked very shaky. Gave a lot of corners away that were unnecessary because I think he was worried and I think we were in his head. So yeah, I think you're right. Chowdhury, I think his name was.
Yeah. So I just think those kind of things with the likes of Jack and even Raf, we know he likes to go toe to toe all the time anyway, but to maybe be more direct rather than trying to cut inside or cut out, just go straight at them. Like a defender hates facing away from their own goal because they don't know where the fuck they are. Like if you're
I was completely the opposite of that. I didn't want to be pushed to be facing I was a defender. I didn't want to be pushed to be facing my own goal. I didn't want to end up running back in. I wanted you running at me because if you ran at me, I mean, bear in mind this is not the standard, as you said. If you're running at me, if I don't get the ball, I at least stop you.
Yeah, but the other side of the coin is you don't know where you are. As long as I'm running,
well, I do because that's on my positional sense as a player.
Well, obviously, as a player, but you just run at players, like that's it. It's
I do point, and I think one of Harrison's strengths. I mean, his clear strength is his touch. His first touch is magic. But I think one of his other strengths is it doesn't matter whether he's got the ball or not. He runs at the same pace. A lot of players, if they have the ball at their feet, are a lot slower than they are if they don't. And I think he's just about maybe slightly, but I think he's able to maintain a good level of pace while he's got the ball at his feet. And I take your point, but I think for me there might be an element of get on the ball and then whip it in because we saw that quite a bit in the second half before he went off.
We did, yeah, but we also saw that there wasn't enough players in the right positions either. Because it was nearly a first time cross. He got the ball, one touch out of his feet, whipped it in. We were still at the penalty spot. You know what I mean? It's going across.
Yeah, but again, the players are used to being in a position where we've got overlapping fullbacks and they're waiting for a ball to be cut back. So again, that's a change in context. So it's going to take a bit of time, but I wasn't disappointed with what we saw on the pitch. I think that there's certainly the entertainment factor still there. A lot of people have reflected on quite often when there's a change in coach. What the incoming coach says is players aren't quite fit enough. We've got some work to do. We need another 10-15%. There's absolutely no chance that that's ever going to be said about Bielsa going out of a team that he's had for a while. So he's playing players that we've got that are in a position where they are fit enough. We know they're fit enough. It's not a fitness issue other than those that are injured, which is quite clearly a fitness issue. But you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at. It's just about the timing of the runs. It's about the reading of the play. It's about knowing that if the ball is breaking to Jack Harrison as a striker, I'm expected to move myself as fast as I can towards the 6-yard box. Whereas previously it might have been I'm going to run on the outside of him and allow him to run inside me, and then I'm going to run around the back of him and look for a cutback. And the movements and the transitions of players in attack is entirely different.
The three-man overload isn't there now.
Well, exactly, and I think we will still look to overload in attack, but it won't be in the same context. It might well be that we're going to trust our wingers with ball retention and to get the ball in, and what we're going to do is try and overload in the centre, which actually is where the danger is. Now, what I don't want to do is anybody to hear that and think, "Fucking hell, Gilly's talking about just getting it in mixer." That's not what I'm saying. I don't want that either. But if we can get the ball in early with strikers in good positions, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I know what you mean, man. I was in the pub there earlier on, and
well, you do surprise me, Karl.
It was the first half, right? And some guy was like, "Would you just hoof it, will you?" And I was like, for fuck's sake, we haven't progressed that much in a couple of days, have we? For fuck's sake.
No chance. No chance.
Jesus Christ. But anyway, I just want to whack up an old comment here, Gilly, from
Rico Kelt.
Dallas in at right back was unnecessary and got torn a new one again, as he did against Spurs.
Now, we know that he was up against a very good player today. Barnes has scored against us in so many consecutive games now. So I think when we consider that he's potentially, creatively, so Vardy's their danger man, but creatively, he's one of their strongest forces. I think Dallas did have a tough ask on him right from the start today, but equally, you expect him to kind of front up to that, and I think he dropped a little bit short. I do think that we've mentioned about Chowdhury and the fact that Harrison had the edge on him. I think the same is true of Barnes and in fact, I think Barnes just looked dangerous against everybody he went up against. It wasn't just Dallas, but I think that there's definitely truth in that statement.
Yeah. Another one here from Luke Thompson. How are you, Luke? If the officials did the job properly and VAR did what it should, we would have had 2 pens. I think the two that he's on about are the potential handball, where that goes like that, and the push in the back of.
No, I don't think it would have been pushing the back. I think it would have been Rodrigo being kicked about half an hour after the ball's gone.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, excuse me.
So I think if we look at those two, so right from the outset, I don't want either of those to be pens. Right. I don't think they should be pens.
Okay.
I think it's madness that we're talking about the fact that they could be pens. Mm-hmm. At that same point, Luke is 100% right, which actually are really poor words in my mouth. It don't feel right saying Luke is right, but I'm not talking about our Luke. That's Luke Thompson. not our Luke. I don't want to say that he's right, but no. If you look at Chelsea, and the penalty that Rudiger got by absolutely claiming that he'd been killed by Click. Where the ball was still there to be won. Actually, it was a tackle. It was a challenge where the ball was there to be won. Rodrigo had already played the ball. The ball had gone today. I think today's is worse than the one on Rudiger, and I also think that the handball today was worse than the handball given against Dallas. Now, I don't want any of those four to be pens, but if you give the ones against Leeds, you've got to give the ones for Leeds, and that's what stinks. It's that lack of consistency, and it's absolutely right. If VAR did what it should, we would have had 2 pens in the position that VAR was supposed to bring that consistency in. It's just failing. I don't want to end up just getting on a rant about VAR, but
we're not.
But legitimately, those decisions, if you give the others, if you give that handball against Dallas, if you give that tackle against Click, you must give those today. If you're being consistent,
absolutely. Like, I think if VAR is brought in, like you said, for consistency, and it's not providing that, then it's a waste of money. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, you can't implement new technology and not have it being implemented correctly. You know what I mean? So there's another one. Dan James was attacking and defending. That is possibly the man of the match. Still, our inability to score cost us. Didn't deserve to lose. Penalty would have been nice. Again, sentiments that we would definitely stand by. Gilly, I want to go on to the fact that we were playing with 10 men, even with 11, for the last, it felt like forever. It felt like over 20 minutes anyway. I've wrote notes down here, and you pretty much said the same. As if Bamford's fit for the bench, then he's fit for 20 minutes. Why not bring him on?
Or he's not fit for the bench.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a whinge on Twitter, and a lot of people come back and say, well, a bit of PR, bit of spin, bit of a boost for the squad, having him there on the bench. It's like, if he's not fit to play, he shouldn't be there. You can travel with the squad if they want him in the changing rooms before and after the game, and at half time, you can travel with the squad. But it's just, it don't work.
No.
Not if he's not available. If he's available and he comes on 15 minutes to go, I think we win that game.
Well, but imagine, right? Tyler, we'll talk about Tyler tackle in a second that got him injured. I'm not fucking happy about that, regardless of, the crack.
Yeah.
I think Bamford should have come on with 20 minutes to go. That's no slight on Tyler. Like, I think we look more dangerous with Bamford on.
Absolutely, 100%. It's not only how dangerous we look; it's also the pressing that Dan James offers is then doubled, because we've got 2 players that are fully capable of doing that. Because Bamford presses as well as anybody. Yeah. It's how good he is on the ball, because he is a fantastic player on the ball, and he played like inside left, and he played wide of a 9 when he were at Middlesbrough, and he's fully capable of that. He's a creative player. Look what he did at Villa when he scored the hat-trick. He scored goals out of nothing as well. So, no, absolutely, he has been a big loss to us. And it's the way that the other players are able to play around him, because he also holds the ball up better than any of the other forwards that we've got, except potentially Gellert. But, he's so young, we can't rely on him.
But this is the thing as well, like, Bamford runs the channels when we don't have players far enough up the pitch. And we don't, like, I don't think Jaffe has actually had the time or the opportunity to be able to show that he can do that, really, because we've kind of wanted him on the pitch to just run at people. But you're right in what you're saying. He can do that. He has that strength to do that. But if you have, if you have Bamford on the bench, put him on the pitch. Simple as that.
I think you're worse off if you've got him on the bench and he's not fit to play at all. You're worse off if you need him than if he was never there. By not playing him, you're worse off than having the boost of him being on the bench. I don't get it at all. I really don't.
Genuinely don't myself. Like, I think it's a bit bonkers, to be fair. And
oh, hang on, Karl. This is one that you'll like. I just want to bring one comment here. There shouldn't be pens. No, this is why VAR and officials should be foreign. There's an idea.
There you go. No.
I agree because I think it was, you were talking about French football potentially and our officials going and officiating their games and theirs coming and doing our games, certainly in the top flight on the principle that you're always going to get officials officiating games that they support one or other of the teams in because they don't get into football as a career if they don't love it. And how do you get into football as a career and love football without having an affinity to a team? That doesn't happen. So, I fully agree with that.
Who's the guy that reffed our game there against Spurs? He's a fucking Newcastle fan, and there's a photo of him out in the pub.
Yeah, I saw the picture.
With the Newcastle jersey on. You're like, I'm sorry, but if someone comes to me and goes, it's not financially feasible for this to happen, UEFA rob fans blind. They have the fucking money to do it. You rotate all the best officials, linesmen, referees, you rotate them from every country around Europe's top leagues: France, Holland, Germany, Spain, Italy, England, Scotland. That's it. But you know what I mean? You can't have like are you telling me if there was English officials refereeing in Italy that all that shit would have happened? That Juventus would have got away with fucking bribing all them referees? Are you telling me if there was an English ref one week, a Spanish ref the next, a French the next, a Dutch the next, German the next, are you telling me they would have gotten away with that? No one would have gotten away with that. You're taking corruption
it doesn't happen, does it?
As much as anything else. But it something like that needs to be done. UEFA have the money. They send refs all over Europe when it's Champions League. What's the fucking difference? What's the difference? If someone can comment in there now and tell me what the difference is, I'll hold my hands up. But there needs to be neutrality with referees. I'm sorry, I'm going on a fucking rant here now. And there needs to be some neutrality with referees, and you're not getting it with Premier League referees at all. Mike Riley, Jimmy, or is it Mike Riley? No, Mike Dean. Mike Dean.
Yeah.
Jimmy, nail on head when he was chatting about him. Loves to be the center of attention. Why?
Yeah, he
because
does.
Every
he does.
fucker knows him. If you have a French referee in there, you don't know anyone. Fucking what?
I mean, it was Pawson that was our ref against Spurs, and I think he was the one that sent off Strike as well in the Liverpool game. Just really well, true. But that in itself just shows how weak a referee is, because he was massively influenced by Klopp there. I fully get the point, and that's why I brought it up. Is actually it's pertinent to the conversations we've had already, and will give us a better experience. I think that there's a couple of others. So Gordon's point, no big hole in midfield today. We're still missing Calvin. We didn't have Forshaw on, and it still felt better in midfield, even up against what is a quality midfield. It still didn't feel like we were being overrun. Now, they didn't utilise their midfield very much.
No, we said earlier on.
Yeah, Shelley joined a bit late. Sorry, a bit late on. Positive performance and more solid today. Just need to put the ball in the net, really. Feeling hopeful. Would like to think we're turning the oil tank around now. Certainly felt differently, didn't it?
It did. It felt like every time they attacked that they weren't going to score with every attack. You know, like there was a bit of ping pong here and there for a few kind of corners that were put in, and then it was lumped clear or whatever. But there was never any. I didn't have that fear of Jesus Christ, they're on the break here now.
We weren't being dominated.
Yeah.
We weren't being dominated. I think when you look, I mean, you look at Spurs' attack, and they've got Kane and they've got Son. I mean, they've only got two players, but they're both in attack, and they're both monsters. They're brilliant. And I think they're now record holders for the amount of goal involvements that two forwards have had in the Premier League era. So it is difficult to manage players at that level, and we could have had all of our squad available, and those forwards are able to do what those forwards did against us. That's how good they are. But at the same point, it feels different. It felt like they waltzed through us. and it didn't today. And we weren't as flat. I think that the energy levels never really subsided, but the way that they were going about it and the sharpness kind of felt different again today. And it felt like the players were, I don't want to say re-energized because I think that's been a bit unfair. But they seemed a bit more of a zip about them.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Now, to be fair, like it, even though they've only had a couple of days, they seemed a bit more tuned in today, and that's no slight on anything previously, like, but they did seem, a bit more tuned in. What's Toby there?
Yeah, so Toby Leroy joins us. Welcome along. The whole refereeing situation stinks. I think it's corruption rather than inconsistent. They are very constant. I think we must be consistent when it comes to the bigger teams. Now that's why I've shared that, because that's an additional layer that we've not touched on already. If you think of what we're given against us with Rudiger, it's because it was Chelsea more than anything else.
Yeah, but in the reverse fixture last year, where we played them at Stamford Bridge, Ian Poveda inside the box gets clipped, doesn't go down, and then he has kind of an off balance shot, and the ref goes, "You had advantage." It's like, hold on, mate, hold on. That's a fucking penno. He's clipped him. Just
look at Dan James last week.
Yeah, just because he's honest enough not to go down.
Dan James got up last week instead of rolling around going, he's broken my leg.
And the same happened with Bamford season against Southampton, where he actually questioned the ref. He was like, "Why is that not a penalty?" And the ref goes, "You didn't go down." And Bamford goes, "You want me to cheat then?" And the ref walked away, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Answer the question.
Answer the question,
you fucker.
You fucking dickhead, like.
So a question from Shelley there. Did VAR even look at the Rodrigo foul? The commentary team said they had, and that they cleared it because there was a pause in play. They didn't restart straight away. So they did look at it and still didn't give it. You've got to laugh.
Again, there's the inconsistency. That's it, But if that was a top six side, he'd have got that. He'd have got that all day.
They do that at VAR. They just give it.
Give it. It's absolutely fucking bonkers, like.
Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the fact that, was it Diamanti? Was it
Diamanti?
Or what's his name? He flattened. Ndidi, that's the bad end.
Diamanti's the fake diamonds that you find off shit clothes and fake jewelry.
I'm definitely not looking at shit clothes anyway, that's for sure. I can't afford the fuckers, like. So yeah, indeed, he should have been sent off twice, in my opinion. Twice.
We don't get them.
I'm just bringing it up because I'm a bitter prick. He should have been sent off. That was like that's 100% foul on Tyler on the edge of the box. It's 100%.
I agree.
And we got nothing. To get anything. We got an injured player for 20 minutes. That's all we got out of it. I was like, what the fuck?
There's no more comment to say. It was a foul. It should have been at least a booking, and we got nothing. Yeah, you're right.
I'm fed up with it, Gilly, man. I'm genuinely fed up with it. Like, it's like when you're going to games, whether you're watching them on the TV or going to the games, the frustration is always the same. But it's worse when you don't go to a game and watch it on TV, because you have the benefit of replays, and that just winds you up way, way more. Way more. And like, it's just fuck it. Like, I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. I'm just ranting now at this stage in the day, Gilly, man. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, it was a positive game. We did play quite well.
Yes, we did.
We're just nitpicking really, and wondering,
Well, we are. Do you know what? In terms of looking at the stats and so on, shared some last night. In fact, the banners might still be there. we are in a position. I mean, actually, Daka being dropped to the bench was a surprise to me. He scored 5 and got an assist in his last 6 home games. But could have had a knock, could have had anything. But this one interested me. Leeds are unbeaten in the last 5 league games away to Leicester, winning 2 and drawing 3. So actually, we've lost 1, won 2 and drawn 3. That's still a pretty good record.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's
not an easy side to play against. Well, true. But they're not an easy side to play against, and I think that we did play well. I think there's a lot of positives that we can take out of the game. Some of the replies on the used to be the 606 forum. I don't know what it's called now. It might just be BBC Sport, but there's comments in there because it's an open forum. It's not a Leeds forum, so you get losing 1-0 is a massive improvement for Leeds and stuff like that. But there's a lot of positivity out there as well. Leicester aren't a pushover. They're not a bad side. They've got finances that have been spent. They've got some good players in there. They've got some dangerous players in there. Vardy is quality. We know he's quality. And they've been on a poor run. But then he came back in. Him and Maddison came on, I think it was 75 minutes or something. Scored on 80, scored on 90. So Vardy got an assist and a goal in the last 10 minutes of a game. That otherwise they would have gone on to draw 0-0 with Burnley. They are massive players for them, and I think that's a pretty big deal. And the fact that they've been on a really poor run and then he's come back in and they've won 2 games on the bounce is not a fluke. Is it?
Fuck no way. They're a good side. They've got good players, but they're going like you said, they're going through a bit of a slump at the moment, but they were still there for the taking.
No, well, they were going through a slump.
That's what I said.
They're not playing well. Yeah, but Vardy comes back in and they pick up 6 points out of 6. It's not, that's not a fluke. That's how important he is to them.
Until he came on against Burnley, they were shit.
That's what I'm saying. It just because it peters out to a 0-0 draw, and they get nothing from it, and instead he's played 100 minutes out of 180, and he's won them 2 games. Well, I mean, he didn't win them the game today, but that's the influence he has being back in the side.
And look, that's the difference.
Little bastard.
Yeah. Back-faced bastard. But just on a lighter note, where after today's results, we're still in the position we're in.
Yeah, so I've got the results in front of me. I'll just run through them. So Villa beat Southampton 4-0. Yeah. Chelsea beat Burnley 4-0 away. Newcastle beat Brighton at home 2-1. Norwich did get 1 goal against Brentford late on, I think it was. They lost 3-1 at home to Brentford. And Palace beat Wolves 2-0 at Wolves, which I think is the surprise of the day because Wolves have been flying.
I think it is as well, but then you have Liverpool.
Oh, it was an Ivan Toney hat-trick. So there's still only 1 player. Just a quick question. How do you reckon the next 2 games are going to go, man? Just before we finish up, So as we've said, a lot of positives to take out of that game today. I think from if we look at the way that we've responded after 4 days worth of training with under the new regime, I think the Villa result today was a bit of a surprise. Southampton have been pretty good this season, and I fucking hate Thursday night games. I really do. They're really frustrating. And then it's early Sunday afternoon for Norwich game. But equally, I do expect us to pick up points there. And I think the way that we're going to play now, I think lends itself to beating Villa. So I don't know how their game's gone today. I only know the score. But they've got that shit bastard in central defence that will be pressuring, and I'll love to see. And do you know what? If Bamford plays against them as well, he always plays well against them. So I think it might be a close game against Villa. I think I fancy us to get a result. It might be a draw rather than a win, and then I think that we thump Norwich.
Yeah, I was going to say I think maybe 4 points, but it might not be in the kind of way you'd think you'd get the 4 points.
You think a draw against Norwich?
You just don't know. You just don't know.
No, hang on a minute. Which way around do you think it's going to be then?
What I mean?
4 points against Villa.
Yeah, why not? They fucking owe us for that soft goal, the pricks. No, I genuinely, I think we definitely get 4 points from these next two games.
I think we've got a big job to do on Coutinho, and I think if you take Coutinho out of the game and you pressure a very, very wobbly defence, I think that there's a lot of benefit to be had out of that game. In fact, fuck it, we're going to hammer them both, and we're going to take 6 points from 6.
There you go. That's the way to look at it, I guess. I was kind of thinking that the Villa
I've talked my way around.
Yeah, you've talked yourself around there in about 30 seconds. Like, I genuinely thought that the Villa game was probably going to be I'm not saying easier of the games. I mean, as in mentally, that's the kind of game that we want to play. But the game against Norwich is going to be, I think, it's going to be a tougher game, because they're going to want it as much as we are, whereas Villa will want it as much as we want it. But I think that's a more even contest, whereas against Norwich, anything can fucking happen, because we're two teams
but they've been spanked. Yeah, but equally, they've been spanked at home by Brentford today, who were in exactly the same position as well.
I know, yeah, but Jesus Christ, how many times have we said before, do we not learn anything? Like, they were spanked last week by such and such and such.
But your reason is because it's going to be a different
games in 2020. You know, it's like, fuck.
No, but what you're saying is because they're down there in a similar context to us, that it's going to be a more difficult game. But Brentford were only 1 point ahead of us before their game today, so they're down there with us as well.
Yeah, but we've also lost as well. And I think, it's just going to be a difficult game. I think that the Norwich game is probably going to be the more difficult of the two, in my opinion. That's, again, just my opinion. But I think that's the one we'd need to be more on the ball about, really. I'm saying nothing else. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm saying nothing else.
So no predictions from you then?
Absolutely fucking not.
I thought you might just stray into it. You must be try it. I thought you might just stray into it.
That's why I stopped talking. What are you doing? Should know now at this stage, when I ramble off and then just start to, fade out. It's like, shut the fuck up. So I think we've covered it there. Have we got any more comments that maybe we want to pop up?
Toby's just said, so are we staying up? I got my hopes up with Jesse coming in, now properly deflated. Now, I was the entire opposite. I was really supremely confident we were staying up. And then what happened last week. And instantly I thought, well, fucking hell, then we're down. Having seen what I've seen today, I don't think we are.
No, I think we're fine. I think we will be fine. Definitely. I've always said at no point over the course of the season, I've never said anything other than we'll be grand. It's like all those people who said our first season in, we'd take 17th. Yeah, we sound, last day of the season, 17th. Yeah. You're all wearing nappies if it's the last day of the season because your arse will fall out.
If we're still under threat on last day of the season, we're playing Brentford. They're likely to be as well. We cannot afford to be going into that game needing points. We can't do it.
Look, 4 clear on the last day. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. 4 clear on the last day. That's it.
That's what we need.
Fine. Absolutely fine.
That'll do me.
4 clear on the last day. Bielsa at Ellen Road for the last game of the season. Life's fine. Jesus fuck Christ. Fine. I'm drunk. Fuck it. Let's finish this shit before I say something I might regret.
One thing we haven't mentioned is, except for one unlucky member of the podcast that did submit a video, there were quite a few familiar faces that were broadcast on international TV before the game.
Yeah.
There we go. That was nice, wasn't it?
It's nice to see your face on telly, hey.
It was. It was wonderful. And just wanted to point out, I'm wearing one of Renda's shirts as well. She's a bit of a legend. So
yes, you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it was nice to see. My little boy was watching it with me beforehand, so that was nice. Seeing his dad on telly.
That's the stuff, isn't it? That's the stuff. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah, sorry, Luke.
Sorry, Luke. Did you send it to the right number?
No, I genuinely, I think so. The guy that he sent it to said it was a good video, and he asked him about the shirt, and he said, I love the Newell's link. But the editors looking at that, not really understanding the link maybe or whatever, sees that it's a red shirt in the Leeds video and maybe thinks, not sure about that. But that's the one red shirt in the world, other than maybe England, that we can be all right with as Leeds fans because we got that link with them.
There you go. That's our get out of jail card for wearing anything red. Newell's, yeah.
And of course, we can mention it now because it only happened last night. Luke has been absolutely ripped a new one for calling the scum what he called the scum.
It was a lot of fun. Good, man. When I saw it, I was like,
that was a lot of fun.
It was this little weight that just kind of fell off my shoulders. Every opportunity he gets, he's like, "You call them fucking," and you're like, "Sorry, man."
Last man standing. Last man standing.
At least if in the group chat there was like a forfeit is maybe needed. At least he'll be fucking in it. Sorry, Luke, man. Just you had it coming. Look, we'll finish it there, Gilly, man. Nearly been an hour there of talking absolute waffle, which is great. It's great. Love it. We've got B&C for Villa on Thursday coming up on Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, is it?
No, Thursday, innit? No, we'll have main pod on Tuesday.
Yeah,
and then we'll have B&C Thursday night, yeah.
Yeah. Main pod Tuesday, B&C Thursday night. It'll be a late one Thursday night, so if you're driving home, drive safe. But
sometimes, yeah. So sometimes we push that to the following day if it's a late kickoff. So it depends on who's hosting and how professional they are.
Yeah, but if it's a good result, you might want to get on top of it straight away.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Keep an eye out.
Let people know in advance.
Yeah, keep an eye out on the socials. All right.
That's the one.
But yeah, look, thanks for joining us and the interactions there again tonight, Gilly. Appreciate you coming along, man.
All right.
And, yeah, we'll catch you on Tuesday. See you then.